that need to be made? If none, I need a motion that we approve the agenda. Brenda,
Second.
Sheila, all in favor? It is approved. Next on the agenda, public participation.
Yes, Ms. Tabitha Simmons, you want to come on up real quick? Thank you for being here.
Hi, Ms. Simmons. I'm Kelly Reed. I'm the co-chair, and we're going to give you 3 to 5 minutes to talk, so just go right ahead.
Okay, I'd like to ask for my daughter to be transferred out of her school this year. It's just for this last of her elementary, the 5th grade, and then she would go to her regular district middle school, Bagley. This is due to some issues she's having with some of the teachers, is having a really bad impact on her emotionally. She's now on depression medicine, and she's having to see a psychiatrist about it. And so I think for the best to do the best for her is to get her out of that situation for the remainder of this year. I would love for her to be able to go to Coker because she has family there. My mother takes all the kids to Coker, so it's easy transportation. But if she couldn't go to Coker, then I'd like for her to go to Woodlawn, and she also would have transportation back and forth there.
So has she hadn't had any issues mentally until,
That's correct. Jasmine hasn't had any kind of behavior issues ever. She's never been suspended or anything like that. She says that she's really stressed out all the time, and I'm like, why are you stressed? And she says because of school. She's just got a lot of issues with the expectations, I guess, of the 5th graders. This year, there's like new rules put into place by the teachers. Makes it like super hard for them to reach their goals. Like today she had missed her first already, and she had missed it because the teacher had told her that she didn't have an already to do, so she didn't do it, and she got put on silent lunch and had to write a whole paper on like why she didn't do it, what she could have done to do it better next time. And she had wrote a note that I shared with the superintendent about she didn't do it because she was told she didn't have it to do, and so it caused her to be really upset at school.
Well, thank you for coming to share.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, next on the agenda is operational and financial effectiveness.
Yes, we've got our friend Bryce Holcomb coming to share with us tonight. We've been talking about possibilities for how we want to handle the next steps at Maury County High School, and with funding and some different things up in the air, we wanted to get some clarity, so we've been talking about shifting some things around from some of the phasing that we had previously talked about. And one of the things we talked about was going ahead and doing the renovation part because it directly impacts the kids. And we could do that next summer, but we've got to have the capital money and the liquidity really to be able to do that to next summer. So we talked about some different options, whether it's applying for capital outlay, which we could do, that would put us the following summer to be able to do that. We can do pay-as-you-go with saving excess SPLOST money, which we would just have to be saving up to do that. Or one option is to do a small bond intended to take care of that project at Maury County High School as far as the renovation goes, and then also have some left over to be able to front money for capital outlay projects, whether it's HVAC, electricity controls, some different things like that. So Bryce is going to come and share what this bond would look like and kind of how that would work. So I'll turn it over. It's all you.
Thank you, Tim. Appreciate that very much, and nice to be with you all as always. I've had the pleasure of working up here literally since 1994, and have really enjoyed working with your boards over the years. Y'all have really been a lot of fun to work with. If you'll open the book up, or maybe look on the screen, whatever's easier. What we've laid out here is really scenario 1A and 1B. Tim and Kathy asked us to look at borrowing for really projects in really each option equal to $5.8 million. And what we've done is just looked at 2 rates actually 3.5% and 4% on that. What we'll do with this issue, what we'd recommend is what we call a bank loan, whereby we would serve as your placement agent and bid out about 20 banks. Lowest bidder wins. The reason we would do that is your loan here is relatively small, and we know that you guys want a really competitive rate and really the lowest cost of issuance with that rate. The Fed has reduced rates, twice now. They probably will reduce rates at least one more time next month, and maybe right after the first of the year, one more time. And if that happens, we think your rate will obviously be lower. One of the things I want to point out with this loan is because it is below $10 million, your rate will be what's known as bank, qualified, which is another reason we recommend doing a bank loan. What that means is that the winning bidder on your bonds would be able to literally write off almost all the carrying cost, on the monies that it would use to buy your bond, and that would allow you to get a more competitive rate than you would get really otherwise. So that would be helpful, and that will definitely happen. So basically what we did over on page number 2 is we recommend just wrapping this issue around really the 24 bonds, and you'll notice on that far right-hand side, we're going to interest only through 27, and then start retiring debt over in 28. And then on the right-hand side, you will notice that we've levelized it at about $5.6 million for those bonds, the 24 bonds as well as this issue through the year 31. One change we did make versus the 24 bonds is we would repay really the principal on really April 1 of each year rather than October 1 of each year, and that would save you really six months of interest cost each year, and that's really it. I mean, the next page just lays out the cost for the higher, lower rate, rather the 3.5 and really the 4%. Whatever questions you have, I would be happy to answer those regarding BQ status. Really, whatever questions you may have, happy to answer them. But it's really basic. It's very simple. And again, we would serve as like the bidding agent, and really award this really to the lowest bidder. And we will really bid out all of your local banks as well. They would be in that group that
And Kathy, I've got this up on the screen here, because the question was, all right, what would that look like versus our SPOS payments? So Kathy took our SPOS payments, projected based on like the last year, which is what we do each time,
Right.
and you get a sense of what our SPOS deposits are that we collect throughout the year, what the bond payments would be throughout that year, some parts in April, some parts in October. Over on the right is the excess SPOS that we would still have to be able to use. So the question came up, would we be able to afford this small additional bond? That kind of shows you where we are as far as the cash flow goes from the SPOS itself. None of this is general.
Right.
The other thing we talked about with Bryce is, had we made this last bond bigger, I guess,
Right.
had we made it $5.8 million bigger, this is about what we'd be doing. We actually may save a little money because
That's
the
right.
interest rate's lower
Right.
on this bond. So, we
Not to
kinda-
mention your, as I mentioned, really retiring the debt, really 6 months earlier versus, the 10-1 versus the 4-1. So that is helpful, but as you said, Tim, look at the far right, those are the dollars you're gonna have left over once once you pay really the 24 bonds as well as this issue.
And what that will allow us to do is, once we get finished with 32, we will have been able to get the renovation done over there, parking lot included, and we will have been able to use this excess money. The reason why we did it a little bigger than what we project the cost is gonna be over there is to have money to be able to utilize our capital outlay money. We have to front that. So if we wanna do $2 million worth of HVAC, we've gotta have $2 million to pay up front. Once we do that, we complete it, then the state will pay us back for the $2 million that we spent, and then we can do something else for some money and kind of use that capital outlay that's building each year to do it, but we've gotta have the cash up front. So that's why if this project across the renovation costs anywhere from $3 to $4 million, let's say 3.5 and split it, then we'll have an extra $2 million, 2 point something left over to be able to start, all right, let's do some AC units at some of our older buildings, or let's take care of roof, or things that come up. But we know we've got, if projections continue, we know we've got the excess over there to be able to do the things that come up, whether it's resurfacing tennis courts like we've seen this year, or, taking care of our impulse meters we're talking about putting in, so those types of things. So we feel good about the fact that we can afford it with our SPOS dollars being as they are.
Yeah, Tim, one of your really delay in reimbursement, that usually can be, or that can be as really short as 3 months or as long as a year. Because you're waiting on when, the state borrows every year. And they usually borrow in really June or July of each year. So that's the hold up there with the reimbursement.
Yeah, and we'll do an
Hence the
application.
need to-
We'll do it this June, July, we'll do it, or July 1, we'll do an application. And with this bond, we're assuming the timing we talked about is if you guys issue the bond in February, March somewhere, that lets us wait a little longer to see if we can get a better rate in the spring. And then we'll have the money to be able to start doing the work in May, June, July, when that stuff comes up. In order to do that, we would have, from a board perspective, you would approve this bond sale next month. So that would give them 50 days to do the things they need to do. The actual bond would not get sold until February. So you've got some time to think about it. We can talk, look, we wanted Bryce to come make this presentation because if you guys feel good about it, we want to be able to tell Ray Lynn, hey, this is what we're looking to do, so they can start scheduling us and getting us ready for any work that we need to do this summer. Because we believe the whole renovation project can be done this summer.
What HVAC systems are we looking at redoing?
Eton, Coker, Chatsworth, North Murray, there's a lot of them.
Yeah. Will that help Coker's from being,
Yes, it would.
because theirs is out of whack right now. It's-
Yes. Well, you've got units.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, yeah.
A lot of them in this system are 30 years old and more. They need changed out in a bad way.
Now with this, will this bond or whatever, will it help for Murray's units or?
It could. We've been looking into that, and the problem that I'm running into is with trying to get plans put together in time. If the board votes tonight to do it, have I got enough time to put plans together through an architect to get all that done? I'm working on that now to try to see if we can get all that put together. Right now, I just don't have that answer, to be honest with you.
If not, could it be part of the capital outlay stuff?
Well, that's what I would use, would be the capital outlay
Okay.
money, if I can, for part of Murray over there.
As I've kind of shared with you guys before, we're finishing off one bond and starting another in 2027. And so that's why we're trying to be judicious with how we use our excess SPOS to make sure that we've got what we need to take care of those payments in 2027. So far, so good. We projected it out. It shouldn't be an issue whatsoever. But that's where the capital outlay money availability will help. And that extra money that's baked into this bond allows us to access that capital outlay money, whereas we may not be able to do that if we were just doing a $3.5 million bond. We just wouldn't have the extra cash flow to be able to do some of these things, because with capital outlay, we're getting paid back. So it's almost like we can reuse that same $2 million over and over to some degree as they pay us back. One
One other point I would make too is whenever you borrow, your work will start, as you mentioned, Tim, during the summer. Your bond dollars will be reinvested in, the local government in really pools. So you'll probably really make a rate that's basically at your borrowing cost. So it ought to be a break even there. As you hold those dollars.
That would be February, right? Is that what we said?
Yeah, or March,
March,
whatever
somewhere in there.
you guys want to do, it's up to you and your board, and
Gotcha.
your staff will do whatever you ask us to do.
Any other questions for Bryce? Well, thanks for braving the snow.
Oh, happy to do it. I was real happy to do that. It was very, very light, nothing to worry about.
Thank you.
But many thanks, appreciate y'all very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next on the agenda is board discussion.
Come in something.
Yeah, go ahead.
Kind of not just board, but for everybody. I think it's Save-A-Lot, the grocery store down at the lower end of town. I don't know if that's, that changed its name. You know what I'm talking about. If you go in and you buy a $5 bag of food, they're giving it to our church, but they're giving you a $5 coupon back. So you're not losing any money, anything, and then we're gonna be giving it as a distribution. So if you happen to be in town, you're down at the lower end, go in and buy you a couple bags. Get your money back. That's a discussion I had. It wasn't really a discussion, was it?
It's good information, yeah.
It's a good share.
Information.
Does anyone have anything else? Quality workforce,
Dr. Kathy Smith came to me, I don't know, maybe a month or two ago, said based on our audit that we had, that we needed to adopt this language to be in compliance with GASPA standards, which I know nothing about, but I trust her guidance, and so we're presenting that to you on a first read. That's correct, Dr. Smith?
Yes, you want me to give you a brief?
The lease, yeah, come about the lease and
Yeah.
fine.
So, the first one on the very first one on the student activities fund, so basically what the auditor said is that, a couple of years back, the regulations changed where student school account money is considered governmental. And so there was two primary categories. It could be fiduciary or it could be governmental. So GASB 84 came out and said, no, we're gonna consider school money that falls under our same tax ID as governmental money. And so what that means is that the principal and basically the staff and in the school system have oversight of those funds. That students or parent organizations, they don't have any oversight over the funds, but the principal and the district do. And so we've been doing this for years as far as including their school money goes into our financial statements. You don't see it on the audit, but it's in there. We make an entry at the end of every year, and we take all of their money and we include that entry into our money, and it basically becomes part of our fund balance. So I know that schools may not like to hear that, and we don't mess with their money. I set up accounts for them when they need accounts set up in their software, and I help them any way I can on the bookkeeping side of it. But we let them have oversight of their money. But what this says is legally, this is Murray County's money, and so that's a law that we have to abide by. So the auditors wanted us to see that in board policy, and that's what that's saying. Okay, that's the first one. The second one is on two other GASB laws. And so what those regulations said is that on GASB 87, that anything over a lease that's over 12 months has to be considered as part of your financial statements. So that's why you see us doing all of our software renewals every summer to renew, and, July 1, every 12 months, we renew softwares. We renew almost all the copier leases. Everything that we do, we keep on a 12-month cycle, because that allows us not to have to include those in our financial statements. And so that's one thing that they wanted us to see, that was part of board policy. And then the other part of this is GASB 96. So what GASB 96 says is if you have any software that's over 12 months or software-related products, then I have to disclose how much that is and whether or not we're going to include that in our financials. So, for example, here's two good examples of how we did fall underneath that. Is most of all of our software is 12 months. We just talked about that. And our leases are 12 months. But we have certain things, for example, when you adopt a curriculum and you adopt a curriculum for 6 years, part of that curriculum is electronic. So now that becomes a 6-year lease, basically, or a 6-year contract. So what they did on our financials this past year in 24, is they took out the part that we still owed and took that off of our fund balance and said you can't spend that money because you already owe it. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Another one was when we did Skyward. We did Skyward, I'm sorry, not Skyward, but eTrieve. Skyward's what I did in Tennessee. But when we did eTrieve and SoftDocs, we did it for 5 years. And so they considered every year past the first year as part of this agreement, and they said, okay, depending on how much you still owe on that, we're gonna decide whether or not we're gonna take that off of financials, off your fund balance, and they did not on the software, but they did on the curriculum. So, I say all that to say this, they just wanted to see that the board had some kind of policy. And they've been recommending it now for the last 2 audits. And I told Mike, I said, we've got to get it done this year, because this will be like the 3rd time they've told us to do it. So we want to go ahead and get these readings done so that we can show them that we've made good faith effort. And we've actually got them in board policy now. Does that make clear as mud sense?
Thanks.
All right, I need a motion that we go into executive session. Brenda,
Second.
Hunter, all in favor? We are in executive session. Members, you have a copy of the agenda. Is there any changes that need to be made? None. I need a motion that we approve the agenda.
So moved. Second.
Hunter, Tony, all in favor? It is approved. If you will, Renda's going to lead us in the pledge and prayer.
Attention, salute, pledge.
I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Let us pray. God, I just want to thank you for this day. Lord, the opportunity that you've given us to be able to serve our community, for all the principals and teachers, that they have the opportunity to touch lives every day. Lord, I just pray that we will all use these opportunities for your glory. Lord, I just pray for our system, for all the children and everything with these cold nights. Lord, I just pray that they'll all have a warm place. Lord, these things I asked in your name. Amen.
Next on the agenda is consent items. Board members, you have a copy of the minutes for October the 6th. Are there any changes that need to be made? If none, I need a motion that we approve the minutes from October the 6th.
So moved.
Thank you, Kelly.
So moved.
Brenda, all in favor? They are approved. Public participation, we don't have anything. All right, next on the agenda is superintendent report.
Yeah, we'll start with our fun with finance. And so Dr. Smith's gonna come and
That'd be my
share.
hashtag. So, new site. So we are gonna start talking about, first on the SPLOST deposits. One of the things that I wanted to point out from the previous slide, if you'll notice when I was doing those, numbers for the
Oh,
bond,
yeah.
you know, every year was the exact same amount of deposits, and we know that that's not the case. You know, we know that each year it's gonna increase, so that, you know, those excess SPLOST amounts should be more than that, because those deposits, year over year, should be higher. Does that make sense? But that's
Oh, you're
just,
talking about this?
yes, so
Oh,
that just gives you a baseline of what they are now, but we know that we're gonna collect more than that each year. Potentially, those excess SPLOST numbers will be higher. Okay, I just wanted to point that out. It's something I noticed when it was pulled up there, and I thought, I guess I could have forecast what I thought they might be, but at least I know that we'll at least collect the minimum amount that's up there. Speaking of this month on the SPLOST, so we collected around $551,000 for this month collections. If you compare it to 24 at $528,000, 23 was $594,000, and October 22 was $830,000. So we have collected around 22.9 million of the current SPLOST, and so we still estimate that we're going to end around March of 26. Okay.
Can I ask one question? I think we talked about this once before, but I got thinking about it, and I'm not sure. This is the penny, okay, that's the sales tax that we get like from, okay, and I think if we order things from Amazon, things like that, our tax that we pay comes back to us.
It's that online tax, yeah.
Yeah.
Now it's distributed throughout the, you know, depending on where the order was placed.
Okay, so
The zip
say a
code.
company that has say a company in California, they get part of our tax? Or do they?
I don't know that. I wouldn't think so. I think it's comes to the community where the order is delivered or the order is placed, yeah.
Okay.
So the online
I thought that's
sales.
what it was, but then I got thinking, well, I don't know, because I figured they have to pay taxes, so where do they get their taxes from?
No.
That's up to them. It's up to them. It's okay.
It
As
just
long as we
helps
get it,
us.
that's
I know
all
that.
Yeah, it's just a tax where it's going to, it's shipping to.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's definitely been a boost for our, you know, for our deposits for sure.
Well, I try to do my share.
I do too, Brenda. I do too.
Every day.
So, any more questions on the deposits? Everybody good? Next, we'll just talk about the actuals. So this is, remember, ending as of September, so this includes July, August, and September financials in it. So you can see that the revenues are around 7.7 million. The revenues, you know, are slow to get started when we start the school year. We've talked about that before.
We actually collected some this year that we typically don't. They started bringing us
Yeah.
some a little early, which
Yeah,
was nice.
and you'll see it in another slide. On this one, it hadn't been posted yet. So then on expenditures, on your next page, then, you know, school has to start, payroll started. So all those expenses, we talked about the software purchases. We make some pretty large purchases right before school starts. So those expenditures are in there, so we're always gonna run a deficit. You know, this is normal. This is normal in our world. You wouldn't want it in your personal bank account, but it works when in governmental accounting. So you've got about 10.5 million in expenditures and you've only got 7 million in revenue. So you know you're running a deficit around 2.7 million, okay? And that's typical this time of the year, okay? We'll catch up. When you look at the next one, you're talking about cash and cash flow. You can see from this year to the last year, you know, we've talked about cash flow and how we have to manage it a little bit tighter. So you can see that in those numbers. The cash flow is a little bit less than it was this time last year, but we're still doing okay. The next one is just taking the actuals that we talked about just a couple of slides back. And then on this one, we add the payroll to it for July and August. So we go ahead and expense that in this budget, in this scenario. But we also put in there the revenues for that time period too. So it gives you a good idea of where you're gonna stand. So if we added the revenues of QBE that we're gonna get, we would be around 15.4 million in revenues on top of the 7 million that we've talked about, okay? But then you also have to turn around, you have to add the expenditures. So those expenditures for all those accruals, for all those teacher accruals and everybody that falls in that accrual category, which is anybody that's not 12-month employee, then we have to expense those as well. So what I do to kind of get a good idea of what it's actually gonna be is when Julie ran the October payroll that we just got, I had her go ahead and run those accruals. So what I said is we asked the system to tell us how much is payroll gonna be July and August based on what the payroll is today. And so it gives us those totals. So I use those totals, and it's not just your pay that we're having to accrue. We also have to do your health insurance and your retirement and your Social Security. All those benefits have to be included in that. So when we did that, it came out with we already owe 19 million in expenses because we have to pay that payroll this time next year. So we have to assume that it's already expensed. So we have 19 million in expenses if we add that payroll to it right now. Okay, does that make sense to everybody? So if you do that, if you add the revenue and you add the expenses, what does it do? Well, it makes your deficit more, not less. So instead of the 2.7 million that we showed just a few slides back, now we're at 4 million. So that is what we actually owe that we don't have on hand right now. So we have to have $4 million worth of revenue come in to cover those expenses. Does that make sense? All right. So, with that being said, I don't know which one. Keep going. No,
Oh, I don't know if I not have it on this one.
may not have it.
Yeah.
Okay, so it was late coming into the packet. Yeah, but you should have a copy of your Georgia Fund one. Yeah, it's in there. It's just not on the screen. So November 3rd, I went back and looked because out of curiosity, November 3rd, 2020, November 3rd of 2020 was the very first deposit that we made in the Georgia Fund 1, where we took cash out of our Synovus Bank and we put it in the Georgia Fund 1 government pool. And ever since then, that money's been going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So 5 years later, we've collected $680,000 of interest. $680,000 of money that that money generated. And so this year, we've collected 50,000 of that, but total of overall at 680,000. So that's just something that I think I'm just really proud of that. It's made a big difference. And then the very last page you have, I don't know, if it's probably stuck in there somewhere. There it is, yeah. So, you know, I told you that I would run actuals the very day that, you know, we tried to get it as close to getting your packet out as we could. So this one was ran on November the 5th, and I just gave you a snapshot. It just shows you what the revenues were as of that day. Revenues had already jumped up to 13.9 million, and expenditures were at 17.5 million. Okay, so those are actual numbers that don't have accruals in them. Okay, so our revenues already jumped to 13 million, which is a lot of those deposits that Tim was talking about that came in. But we've also had expenditures. You know, we've had September and October payroll that's in this as well. So the deficit's down to is at around 3.5 right now. That's actual numbers as of right now. But November and December tend to be our best collection months. We know at the beginning of December that we'll start getting those larger tax checks, and so that'll close that deficit pretty fast.
And we felt good about the payroll number where it was, projecting it out, looking as far as what we said on the budget it would be. So that's kind of what we looked at. All right, we said it was gonna be this, what is it? And we felt really good about the number we have, so we feel good. Looking ahead, barring anything crazy happening, stuff blowing up, Chris doing weird things over there, we feel pretty good about the rest of the year.
Yeah, and of course, I'm ready to start budgets, so I'm ready to just go ahead and go on into 27. And this one's in the books to me. All we're doing now is collecting money and spending it.
Yeah.
So I'm ready to go on in to get into 27 and start that one. So anytime y'all want to start that process, I'm ready.
You're excited about it, right?
Can we see a glimpse of that?
Of
What was some-
27?
Well, the Gatsby, what are we saying, where they have you take the funds out of your fund balance?
Yes, I can find it in the audit for 24. And it was around 400 and something thousand that they set aside out of the fund balance. So they say that money's set aside that you can't spend it. But yeah, it's in the 24 audit. I'll have to go in there and find it.
Of course, on the under 10,000, over 10, under 25, but we finished the 6 wood gym floors. Is that the elementary school gym floors, or whose gym floors are those?
It's all the ones that are wood.
What?
All the ones that have wood floors. Some of them have rubber floors.
Okay.
You don't do, but the ones that have wood floors, yes.
Okay, so I guess my question is which one had rubber floors?
Northwest, Eton, Woodlawn,
Chatsworth.
Chatsworth does, yes,
Chatsworth has,
yeah. So there were 7 floors or 8 floors that got it.
says 6.
6, it might have been 6,
Yeah.
sorry. It's the same, we do them every year, same ones every year, they're on the schedule, and they come to them.
So they're like during Christmas or something?
Around Thanksgiving is typically
That
when they
way.
do them. They did them this year a little bit before, but around this time of the year is when they do all the floors.
Ready for basketball season.
Right before basketball season, that's right.
Any questions?
Thank you.
What, I got a question for, what do you call them refinish? You tell me they're lacquering them floors every year?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, there's 2 different kinds of finishing. What they're doing is just putting a top coat over it.
Okay.
They're not taking it all the way down and starting over.
Okay.
You only do that, even on a high school floor, that gets a lot of use, maybe every 10 years, you need to do that. Middle school can last a little bit longer than that. It comes down to use.
That's what I was thinking. Now, wait a
Yeah,
minute.
this is just a top
Okay.
coat that goes over.
All right, that makes sense.
We'll go ahead and do these, or you want
Yeah, you can go ahead.
Okay. I need a motion that we approve the SPOS outline as presented.
So moved.
Kelly, Hunter, all in favor? It is approved. I need a motion that we approve the financial statement as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Hunter, Tony, all in favor? It is approved. Then,
No purchase orders.
yeah, no purchase orders.
Um, Next up is field trips. There is an extra one in there. We have one that got stuck in our E-tree thing that was found probably either late Friday or today. It is North Murray Strip to legislative session, I believe. And I think that's one they do every year. So the others you had, which is the combined trip to Hawaii. They got that worked out together, plus the chorus trip that you guys had talked about and asked about. And then we ended up with the, I don't have it on the screen actually, the one that's North Murray going to the legislative session. So those are our three. That one is in a couple of weeks. That's why we had to go ahead and get it on today. I had waited, but like I said, it got stuck in the E-tree.
There's only 6 going.
Yeah. So I think that's just their normal.
Is this, what did you say was going, Woodlawn?
I believe, that's the chorus one.
No, the next one.
That's the honor course. That's all I got.
Maybe it got put at the front, at the further, maybe is it toward the back, did you see it?
You said it's North Murray?
Yeah, North Murray.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's towards the back.
It's right toward, right at the end.
Is that
So,
typical?
It's,
6 to go?
as far as I know,
Oh, there's
6 students to go. Is that
North
typical?
Murray,
I believe
Yeah,
it's
it
the
says
Engage
the Assembly
Club.
Capitol.
Okay, that's what I was wondering, if it's a certain club or a class or,
I think it's the Engage Club. It's like a civics club that they started. I believe that's who's going.
okay.
Yeah.
Is there any other questions on the field trips? If none, I need a motion that we approve the field trips as presented.
Sorry.
Linda,
Second.
Sheila, all in favor? They are approved. Also too, I need a motion that we waive the JBCD policy.
So moved.
Second.
Hunter, Tony, all in favor? It is approved.
All right, and we're down to our board policies. We got a couple of second readings, and then we've got a first reading that'll get us into next month for taking care of some law business.
So the second reading of the policies that Dr. Smith explained. The first reading of the cell phone policy, y'all all know that the legislature passed a law this year about students from kindergarten to 8th grade about not having access to their cell phones during school time. And so we are required by that law to adopt a board policy by January 1st. And then the law goes into effect July the 1st of 2026. So that is the policy that is in accordance with the new law that prohibits the use of cell phones during school time by kindergarten through 8th grade students.
When does it go in effect for high school, 9 through 12? When is that one?
They might do it this next legislative session, I don't know, but I hadn't heard.
You got a question. What constitutes access? My concern is you got parents, kids, football players, after school activities, and if they got their book bag, does that constitute access, or?
Yeah, I mean, we'll leave that, I guess, to an administrative decision as to, I mean, some districts are paying for little boxes for the students to put their cell phones in. That's expensive, obviously. The law says in whatever way that basically we have discretion in how we want to determine access.
If they got his book bag, it's one thing.
Book bag and turned off is probably the the best way, we don't want teachers to have to account for them, because you have to give them back, you might get one lost, one gets broken, you're gonna be blamed for it, so
Yeah.
we need to leave, I think that obligation on the students, but, the big thing is enforcement. I mean, if the teachers, if one or two teachers aren't enforcing it, then that's a problem.
Yeah.
So we're gonna need to, and it might, I mean, and of course it's y'all's discretion, and the principals, it might not be a bad idea as the calendar changes to 2026 sometime in the spring, maybe offer to have some sort of community meetings to talk about this, that this is the law, we don't have any choice, and this is how it's gonna work.
And one of the reasons we held off and going full this year with this was to give us time to message to parents and do those things. And we kind of targeted springtime as we get into that season of the year, looking ahead to next year, doing some messaging, because some schools are doing it now. And I think pretty much everybody, from what I've heard, if they had a rocky start, it smoothed out and it's been great since. So we assume that'll be the same. We'll have a little bit of time to do some messaging.
I won't be surprised if the parents have more problems with it than the students, because they like to have access to their kids all the time, so.
They had to cut the cord.
I think I retired for that.
But let me ask, this is Georgia. I was talking to a principal in Bradley County, and theirs is very strict. He's a high school principal, and they take the phone, and after so many times, they have to go to alternative school. It's really strict. He told how many phones he had locked up in his safe. Cause I guess they mean business.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. They confiscate the kid's phone
They do.
and wouldn't go with parents.
Well, it's going on.
I think just if
But
we
that's
continue
the rule.
to,
That's what the rule is.
That's actually stealing, I mean, the parents' phone. But that's neither neither here. My concern was just, ball players, you know what I'm saying, after practice and stuff like that.
Well, it doesn't apply to that.
Well, I understand that, but if they got it in their possession at school, does that constitute access? Does that make sense?
If it's put away.
There shouldn't be no issue.
Put away in a book bag and turned off or on silent, then I think that would be within the law.
Okay.
Just can't have it out.
We spoke with our village group, the parent group, and brought this before them and asked them some questions and what were they looking for, and we'll continue to gather that information. We've set up our teacher advisory group for this year. Dr. Wright will meet with them the next week, and also the student advisory group for the first time. And we'll talk with them also, and we'll take everything we gather from that and kind of let it help us move into the future. It just may have to be a slow process of getting where we want to go so that we don't upset parents or cause, outcry over it. We want to work with them on getting where we need to go and making sure that we explain why we want to do these things.
and I think just transparency
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
a big thing.
And it is, it's, I don't care if parents upset or not, I'm just thinking about well-being of students, if, like after school, kid get left, or you know what I'm saying? Mama had work, got called daddy, type deal.
Yeah, and I think where the messaging is gonna be, this is about creating a distraction-free environment. It's the positivity on the front side of what we're trying to do, rather than the negative, we're banning cell phones. No, we're gonna create a distraction-free environment, and we'll do that by following the law. And so we should be good. And they'll have time and place after school where they can do those things, or if they need, like we said earlier, if they need to go up and call their parent from the office, they can do that as well.
What I've read is that there's more one-on-one conversations between kids, actual conversations, instead of got the phone in their hand. That's a plus. More interactions.
All right, we don't have any of those to vote on tonight. We got personnel.
I need a motion that we approve the personnel packet as presented.
So moved.
Second.
And, Tony, all in favor? It is approved. Next, I need a motion that we go into executive session.
So moved.
Brenda,
Second.
Hunter, all in favor? Kelly, all in favor?
I'm sorry.
We are in executive session. I don't know if you want-
Yeah, hey guys, the executive session is gonna take a little while tonight.